that is uncomfortable for you for any way. Whoever makes non-reflective glasses is going to be a bazillionaire. Maybe they already exist and I'm just cheap. All right, so let's get going. Welcome everyone to the August Interledger community call. It is wonderful to see you. I think we have a pretty packed agenda today. The link is for the community call open notes-taking doc, which is where we're collecting information today. Go ahead and sign up on the roll call with your name and organization or some kind of affiliation which feels comfortable to you. Go ahead and fill that out. And you can sort of see the agenda at a glance, but bonus, you can also go back and look at agendas. Heck, you could go back to 2023 if you so desire. They are all cataloged and collected there, but today we'll be mostly dealing with today's agenda, which I think is going to be pretty exciting. Just a couple of updates. We've got some new blog posts that have gone up. You can see that one on open payments with Roskas. I can never say that right. And modernizing for global impact. So basically, what are the intersection of open payments and collective social impact programs? And our time at the Interledger's time at the Internet Governance Forum back a couple months ago in June, which is a UN forum on all things internet governance. So you can see some updates there. I've got some quick updates that I'm going to give about our grant making because we're about 2/3 through the year, incredibly enough, and we have some pretty exciting updates along those lines. So you can see we've got it pretty well detailed here in the notes, but we did just close on August 1st the Digital Financial Services call for proposals. That was the second of two open application periods for this year, so that is now closed for the end of the year. We will be reopening that in the new year, but do know that that's closed for this year. Some pretty fascinating stats there. We actually were kind of blown away. So I think this is a big where community peer assists really showed up. The reshares, the talking about it, people contributing to the call in very different ways, marketing, comms, technical input, et cetera, all good things. Interledger, we had 88 applications, which by my basic count is just over triple how many we had in March. It is, I think, almost 4 times that we had at any point last year, and I think doubles up our highest one, which was the first time we ever ran it. So really a big response to the proposal this year. You can see we put some other factoids in there. I love that 85% of those came from the outside the existing ecosystem. So we really are starting to see how these ideas and these grant proposals and the programs are starting to roll up and out of just the people who always are seeing them, ourselves, and that your messaging and your community work is really paying off. You can also see, that's spread out over 26 different countries. And we've kind of collected some other details there. We're in the process of doing preliminary reviews, and then a set of those projects will go to our judges, and we hope to be announcing those later on in the fall. We do have one grant that we activated from the March round. We will be sharing details on that soon about who that is and welcome them into the community and probably having them share out their work in this meeting in the coming months. So more news to come on that, but you can really see that we got a pretty exciting response. Next Gen higher education grants, the letter of intent process is still open. It's actually open till October 3rd. It's actually the only open grant that we have in the grant making program, really between now and the end of the year. We have 3 projects that have been approved that we'll also be announcing here over the next couple of months. A lot of announcements on these things coming. And we have, I believe, 1 more spot to fill for this year before we close that out. So it should be competitive. And we will be stop collecting LOIs for the year on October 3rd. We may have wrapped some of this up, but as I kind of do some by the numbers in our grant making, we also had a call for papers grant for research papers earlier in the year. Also had a great response. We had over 60 applicants that put in for them. We've actually awarded 7 authors or teams of authors who are going to then have begun work on research projects and papers. We'll be announcing those here in the next bit of time, and then following their progress and work, and they'll be joining us at the summit. So we'll be starting to see how their work is kind of intersects with our community and what new ideas and new directions that they may take all of us in. I believe Dr. Davids was a judge on that one, on our call for papers, so that community is participating on all different levels here on really building, what is the research corpus? What are the people doing research? How is that being published? Where is that being published? What questions do people have? So, one thing that we want to do is to build a real archive of research in and around the ideas that Interledger and you all in the Interledger community care about. We also, there was about 7 to 10 projects that didn't necessarily meet our requirements for funding for a variety of reasons, but we thought were really interesting research work and that our community and the broader public should be aware of. So we also invited and had accepted 7 projects from that pool of applicants to go ahead and write detailed blog posts for Interledger, and we'll be publishing those over the coming months. And then we have actually begun to reboot our Grant for the Web program and our work in grant making towards web monetization. We have activated 5 grants kind of in the background for now. We'll be talking about them in the coming months as well. But how is it that we start to activate publishers and platforms to start to begin to experiment again with web monetization and the business models and technical practices that might drive that forward? So that is just a kind of a chunky update on where we are kind of at this stage of the year in grant making. There'll be lots more information, and usually between now and the end of the year is a lot of announcements and a lot of activations on that front. And because I have a sense of where a bunch of that stuff is going, there'll be a lot more of exciting announcements, both the ones we've already made on and ones we'll be deciding on through the rest of the year. Do I have any questions on any of that piece before I move on? You can either use the chat or raise your hand or yell, scream into the void. All right, I think we'll move on. We also are going to do a quick summit update here. I don't know if we have someone reading this one or not, so I'll just sort of, if you, the real big CTA, which you'll see in the second bullet point, is if you are planning on coming, even if you're 2/3 thinking you're going to come, go ahead and reserve a summit ticket. You can see the link right there. And that's where you'll grab your ticket. You can always cancel it later, but we have a limited availability this year. We have a hard count at 250. So grabbing tickets is helpful to us and good for you, because we'd hate to have you being on the outside looking in if you do know that you want to come. So there's a call to action on that piece. Was there someone that was going to talk about the Mexico hackathons, Vanille, or are we just notating that?
Tiffany, would you like to give a quick note?
Yes, I'll give a quick update on that. So again, for those, if you'll be at the summit, you may want to also go ahead and apply for the hackathon. We will have that taking place on November 8th and 9th, and it'll be in Mexico City as well in Spark. And it's a arcade that is inside of a mall area, which is pretty cool. And so we'll have more of promos going out about that. But if you know for sure at this point that you will be coming or want to come, please go ahead and apply. You're on mute, Chris.
There we go. So there's 2 real clear CTAs on those summit week related activities. So again, I think go ahead, even if you are interested or trending, you think you can go, grab them. It's easier to take your name off the list to add them to a list too late. So that's my sage advice on that one. We do have a bunch of upcoming events that you can see listed here, plus some web monetization updates, Rafiki updates, and we are going to play, and then we're going to transition to our deeper dive. So I will hold on that. But from events, web monetization, or Rafiki updates. Are there any staff or community members that want to open their mic and give any updates on those 3 areas for Interledger? If not, they're well detailed in the notes. All right, going once, going twice. All right. We really have kind of planned a dynamic deep dive here as we kind of unpack and share out what happened at the University of Cape Town Financial Innovation Hub Hackathon, which I believe was in May or sometime in the spring, in the past, I guess, which we know now. So do we have, Vanille, do you have the video ready to play? Do we want to do that as a lead in, and then we'll turn it over to Dr. Davids and the team to share out?
I'm sharing my screen. Do you all see my screen?
We do, Vanille. It's
We've
almost
had a
seamless,
lot
really.
of talking this week, a lot of lecturing, but now the fun bit starts. From 4 o'clock tomorrow, you're all going to be able to show us this shiny payments app that's going to change the world in some other way.
The point is to get young, vibrant, creative energy in order to have communities that are a little bit more future relevant.
Learning about the different protocols, such as the Interledger protocol, the students are then able to conceptualize and understand the problems that we have.
This is an experience for them to feel what it's like to code under pressure, and then it's going to figure it out for me.
And this absolutely builds character, it builds community, it encourages collaboration. It is awesome.
Well, how many of you, is this your first experience of a hackathon? Okay, so pretty much everyone. These hackathons are really important because they give our students practical, real-world experience.
The improvement can be made successfully and easily. Thank you very much.
This is probably the first time they were actually encountering open payments. So that's why I think you judge equally between the pitch as well as the technical implementation.
In first place, Irela!
It's an isolated title, quite a busy and extensive week, as well as a very heavy push in the last 24 hours.
Next year, we really want students from all over South Africa to be able to come spend this week with us and have this amazing experience.
All right, there we go. So there's a good video package to kind of lead us in. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Alan Davids from the University of Cape Town, who runs this program for us and with us and as our partner, and walk through a much more detailed unpacking of what was an amazing hackathon and hear from a bunch of participants. So without further ado, Dr. Davids, take it away.
Yeah, thanks so much, Chris. It's great to be able to join the community call again. For those of you that were on this call around the same time last year, you will recall we sort of had our first hackathon experience last year. These hackathons are a really important part of the educational offering at our university. We run a master's program, and you know, while I love our master's program and I think that there's a lot of value, we need to try to give students platforms and spaces where they can build, where they can break things without this fear of academic marks or deadlines hanging over them. So when we signed up as a grantee with the foundation, one of our goals was to sort of have this yearly hackathon where we get students at our university to build using open payments, to tackle problems using web monetization, to learn about the Interledger protocol. And this started as a sort of fairly small project last year, confined to students at our university. So last year we started with 30 students from the University of Cape Town. Dr. Andrew Mangle, I don't know if he's on the call, but some of his students from Bowie State came over to South Africa to join us. And the idea here was that many of the students that we'd like to participate in these hackathons have A, never participated in a hackathon before, and B, many of them don't necessarily sort of have the coding ability to be able to sort of come in and build a solution in 24 hours. So we had this idea to put together a week-long program, a boot camp of sorts that effectively runs from 9 until 3 Monday to Friday to try to bring students up to scratch with sort of both the theory around digital payments, some of the problems being faced, what are some of the major regulatory changes, and what are some important case studies of digital payments from around the world. But then to combine that with practical sessions in the afternoon, where students are working with our developers and also developers from the ILF just to learn about the Interledger protocol, learn about open payments, and understand how they can build using these technologies. And sort of after this week, students come and show up on a Saturday where they have a hackathon and have a chance to win some prize money. So we did this last year and it was really, really successful. As I said, around 30 students. And this year we wanted to grow that. So we're very proud to say that we ended up with close to 70 participants this year. So effectively more than doubling the amount that we had last year. And where last year the focus is very much on students from the University of Cape Town, we're also very proud to announce that sort of this year we had students joining us from 3 other universities in Cape Town. So the University of the Western Cape, CPUT, and EduVos, such that this was not just an event focused on our university, but we were able to bring students in from other universities as well. And it's always such a remarkable event to be part of. 70 students give us a week of their time during their highly valuable university vacation time. And they sit voluntarily in a classroom from 9 until 2 every day, learning about open payments and spend an entire Saturday with us at a hackathon. So again, sort of this is not part of the curriculum. This is completely voluntary. So to see such a wonderful turnout, I think really speaks to, I think, both the excitement students have to learn about things like digital payments, but also speaks to the impactfulness, I think, of the agenda of the foundation. As always, the students join us on the Monday and they're terrified. They see the first lecture, the first afternoon of coding, and they've got wide eyes thinking, I don't know how I'm going to be able to, let alone understand everything, but build an app in 5 days' time. And it's always just such a rewarding experience for me to sort of see them first thing 9 a.m. on the Monday morning, and then see them at 4 p.m. on the Saturday standing on a stage and presenting an app that they've effectively built in a 24-hour period. So I think if you recall on the video that of Anil played, I asked the question and said sort of, for how many of you is this your first hackathon? And effectively every single student in the room put their hand up, right? And I think when you're going to see the quality of some of the apps and presentations that the students are going to make coming up, I think it's always useful to keep in the back of your mind that for many of these students, their coding ability isn't that great. And for all of these students, they've never taken part in a hackathon. So to be able to sort of do all of that in the course of a week, I think is just such a testament to the quality of students we have, to the determination of the students. So this is a real highlight for us in the calendar. We want this event to grow bigger next year. There's an overwhelming demand for events like this. And I think events like this really go a long way, I think, to sort of trying to forward the agenda on financial inclusion and making these technologies accessible to students that would maybe not have heard about the foundation or sort of heard about all the amazing work being done in this space. So I think that's sort of a sort of high level overview from my side. Tamaya, I don't know if there was anything you wanted to add from your side.
Yes, thank you, Alan. Hi, everyone. I'm Timea, an engineering manager here at the Interledger Foundation. And basically, I had the honor of serving as a judge at the UCT FinHub Interledger Hackathon at the end of June. As Alan mentioned, the event kicked off with a week-long boot camp where students learned about open payments, potential use cases of open payments, a little bit of web monetization as well. And the lecturers were Alan Takunda from UCT FinHub, Sarah Seed, Max, and myself from Interledger. And then came the last 2 intense days of hacking and developing with the Interledger mentors on hand to guide, troubleshoot, and discuss the issues and also the ideas with the students. It was quite inspiring to see the mentors fully immersed with the teams. They were all so busy all of the time. Me as a judge, I was able to be in the background and observe. So they were going from one team to another. And just as much as the students learned from the mentors, I can honestly say the mentors learned from the students as well, I think. So a huge thank you to all of the Interledger mentors. You know who you are. You were incredible. On the final day, teams had only 5 minutes to present their solution and the demo. Those 5 minutes proved to be a real challenge for most of the teams because they fly by and don't even realize it. And the teams had much to say and show to us. Nevertheless, we kept those 5 minutes sacred with the timer. And as judges, we evaluated the teams on clarity of the problem, clarity of the solution, how effectively the solution addresses the problem, and the presentation quality and demo execution. We had about 20 teams presenting, if I remember correctly, so we had to be engaged and focused till the end to make sure we judge all teams fairly. After thoughtful deliberation and a bit of debate over the runner-up spots, we unanimously agreed that Team Direla earned the win. So congratulations again to the winning team. Events like these are not only fantastic team building and learning opportunities, but also a platform for students to showcase their technical skills, talent, present complex solutions using open payments, and just showing us the local problems and the local solutions for them. Thank you to all the participating students for your creativity, hard work, and wonderful feedback. We've taken away some valuable insight for future hackathons. We have a list actually on how we can improve thanks to you all. Last but definitely not least, a special shout out to the Interledger staff who handles the swag. You might not realize it because you maybe weren't present just how much the participants appreciated it, but the photos I think say it all because so many proudly were rocking their jumpers. I truly love this experience and hope to be a part of it again in the future. Thank you everyone at UCT FinHub, and thank you Interledger team who were present for making this hackathon, I think, a truly successful one. Back to you, Alan or Chris.
Thanks, Maya. Yeah, that's everything from my side. Vanille, Chris, I don't know how you want to run this next. Should we get the students up?
Yeah, I think go ahead and just, Dr. Davids, if you want to go ahead and introduce the students and the presenters, and we can just keep it rolling.
Okay, fantastic. So we had intended to have all 3 teams here, but unfortunately one of the teams, their entire group has class during this period, so we'll sort of have 2 of the teams here. I think we'll go up with the first team. I've not spoken to them before this, so let's see. They should be on the call. Fin Luminaries. I think we've got Sakina and Muhammad on the call. Are you guys here?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Sakina, and I'm from Fin Luminaries.
Awesome. Thanks, Sakina. I take it you're going to be the one presenting. I see Muhammad's also just joined.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, Muhammad is here.
I'm Muhammad.
Awesome.
Hello.
So
Sorry,
do you guys want to go ahead and get started with your pitch? I think the idea is much like the hackathon. We'll sort of just share with everyone the pitch you did from the hackathon, tell them a bit about the solution you built.
Okay, I'll start us off by walking everyone through the problem that we decided to address, and then Muhammad will kind of take you through what the solution was. So essentially, from the lectures that we had throughout the week, the theory really played a role in the problem that we decided to address. We've noticed, and members in our group even experienced this problem, is that we're in rural communities, there is a lack of internet connection and not many people have bank accounts. And to address this, we kind of use the Open Payments Protocol and the Interledger to create a solution that allows people to make completely offline payments. So they wouldn't need internet access and they wouldn't need a bank account. They just need an Interledger wallet. And then, yeah, I'll let Muhammad explain the rest.
Everyone can hear me, right?
We can, Muhammad, and feel free to share your screen if you'd like as well. If there's anything you'd like to share.
Right now, I'm not in a nice space, but I don't have something to share, unfortunately. But the basic idea is to use USSD to allow people that doesn't have data connection, like absolute data, but has like network connection by using the towers to send like SMSs through so that they can send money through via that. So then we would use mobile networks to act as our financial agents so that people can collect money or place money on their account. And then the account is connected to their KYC, which is basically like their ID. And then they can make payment points on the Interledger account so that each number would then be a payment point for a certain wallet that is connected to their ID. So if they either get a new number or lose a number, they can replace it eventually. Yeah, that is the basic of it right now. I'm so sorry.
Thanks, Phil, and thanks, Sakina. I think like here, what we really like the big sort of innovation here was sort of thinking about how we can think about digital payments in a context where people maybe don't have smartphones and in a context where internet accessibility is an issue. So being able to essentially wrap a sort of a layer for USSD and be able to make sort of transactions between Interledger enabled wallets using USSD. I think this is really what stood out from this solution over here. So thanks to the both of you for joining the call and for sharing that solutions. It seems that someone in the chat already would love to hear a bit more as to sort of how those offline payments actually work. I think we also have our the other team, and this is the team that ended up winning. Direla, I believe the full team is here except one of the team members. So you guys can just pop your cameras on and let me know if you're here.
Hi everyone, I'm Cabello. I'm from Team Direla.
Hey Cabello. I
Hi,
think
everyone.
Yeah.
I'm Tino from Team Direla.
Hello everyone, I'm Daryl from Team Direla.
Okay, guys, are you guys ready to show us what you've done?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'll just
Go ahead.
Okay, slide 5. Okay, hi guys. So we are Direla, which means to serve in Tswana. And next slide. So basically, the core of our problem is that it's a two-sided problem, both with the consumer and the merchant. So I'll first speak about the consumer. Tepo, which is a gardener over here, faces a problem called the last mile financial issue, which is basically where a service fails at the last place, basically. He basically has access to the formal banking system. His salary is paid to him digitally, and he can't use that digital value for the final crucial step, which is his day-to-day purchases, which forces him to withdraw his full salary in cash, a costly process that burdens him with several distinct costs, right? So some of these costs are like, transportation fees to go to the ATM to go withdraw, costs such as ATM withdrawal fees. There's also indirect costs such as the opportunity cost to go there, time, and it's also a very risky thing to be carrying this much cash, right? And the reason why Tepo does this is because it's expensive for him to transact with, because Tepo uses small payments, right? It's very expensive. Some of the places he goes to don't accept card payments, and yeah, he's just basically stuck in a community where it's just mainly cash. And now next. Yeah, those are a few of the things there which I've listed. Next part. So then next, what we have over here are the top 3 most frequently purchased things in low income neighborhoods. All right, and the percentages there are basically the percentage of how much of that is spent with cash, how much of that is purchased through cash. All right. Next, we introduced the shop owner here, Mbali, who owns a spaza shop, which is basically a small community store, right? Mbali's problem is that she's refusing to modernize. Her problem is that like it's not viable for her business for her to accept card payments, right? And this is basically because digital payment solutions weren't designed for her scale, for her scale of business, right? This is because of high entry costs. So physical POS systems are usually very expensive. The transaction fees are quite expensive. If a user's paying with 10 rand, 20 rand, Mbali still gets charged a very high transaction fee, which just ends up eating into the profit and the lack of consumer demand. So why invest in something if all your consumers are going to come to you and just offer you cash, right? And those are some of the reasons we've listed there. Oh, and also the bank fees, right? So basically, it's a problem here where like you have two people here both stuck using cash because both sides don't use digital payments. And then go on to the next slide, please. So like I said, when you combine these two perspectives, you get a vicious cycle of financial exclusion. So like basically Tsepo can't use digital payments because nobody doesn't accept them, and nobody doesn't accept them because the systems are too expensive and unaffordable. And besides, customers like Tsepo only bring cash, like I said. So the cycle just keeps continuing. And we thought, what if there was a way that we could turn Mbali's phone into a POS system, right? Where she could basically accept card payments and digital payments without having to purchase the hardware through QR code technology, NFC technology, and WhatsApp integration. And on Tsepo's side, he could withdraw his cash into a digital wallet. So instead of having to withdraw it into cash, he could do it into a digital wallet and basically go to all these places and transact. And yeah, that's me. Next.
Sorry, I just muted. There's a bit of noise from outside, but I'll continue the presentation. So enter stage left, Direla. And on the merchants platform, Mbali is able to have a point of sale terminal right on a mobile phone and sell electricity and airtime with same-day bank settlement. On Tsepo's side, he's able to pay using WhatsApp, and NFC, and QR codes. And Tsepo is also able to leverage his trusted status within his community and access our community micro-lending feature using repayments as a form of informal credit record. And one of the key inspirations behind Direla is financial inclusion. Owning a point-of-sale system is the first step to this for Mbali, and Tsepo is now able to unlock the world of formal financing that's trying to break the cycle of cash entrapment in these communities. And as you can see, it's a very large market, and we aim to target spaza shops because of their importance in the township community, which continues to grow at a rate faster than the informal sector. And here's just a little bit about the team. And instead of honor all cards, Direla is able to serve all payments. Thank you. And then I'll just play a short demo quickly.
Okay, I'll be going through the demo. On the left side is the user and on the right is the merchant. In this, we can see the example of the user adding in money. This could be through a bank account, could be through mobile money. We envision it to be able to pay through different mediums. Once the user has loaded up the account, they'd be able, with the merchant, they would set up the amount. This would be like if you're purchasing something from the store, purchasing an amount. For this example, we're showing a QR code. A QR code to be generated, which they'll be able to scan for. Then the user on the left will be able to scan the QR code and do the payment. We could have done a pre-authorized grant for this, but for demonstration purposes, the user would have to authorize it through the Interledger wallet and to do the payment. We envision this to also be able to be done through NFC and through other mediums as well. And next, I'll be showing the other method, which would be WhatsApp. The store will be able to put an amount, put the person's WhatsApp number, and they'll be able to receive a message for the repayment link. The link will be generated and sent to the user. It will be shown now in a few seconds. And from here, the user will be able to pay directly from their WhatsApp without the need for maybe a smartphone in this situation. And thank you very much for listening.
Amazing. Thanks so much, guys. Really, really, really appreciate that. And again, super, super proud of all of you. I think, again, just to give everyone the context for this, these are students who did this during their vacation. And many of these students walked in on a Monday not having an idea about who Interledger was, what open payments was. And through the course of a week, were able to understand all of those concepts, teach themselves the key coding concepts, and build these solutions as well. I've been to sort of full developer hackathons, and I've not seen solutions as good as the ones you guys have been building at a student hackathon. So I really think sort of in that sense, you should be tremendously, tremendously proud. Over to you, Chris.
All right. Yes. Lots of love. I see lots of emojis streaming up my screen. Just excellent work. Excellent share outs. It's so exciting for Interledger to be supporting this work broadly at UCT with the master's program and the hackathons and the kind of, a lot of what our university programs work on, which UCT and Bowie State are kind of our flagship programs, and now we're adding many programs behind that as well, is what is this interplay between learning that happens in the classroom and outside the classroom in more real world environments like a hackathon, like working alongside professional developers, because really the goal of these programs is to get more students, more young people, more graduates into open payments work, into fintechs, into the kind of ecosystems and issues and solutions that Interledger cares about and is advancing. So really excellent example of that. We may have some questions, but I don't want to cut that off. So if anyone wants to open their mic and ask any direct questions to Dr. Davids and his team or to any of the participants, now is your time. I don't think I see any in the text. There's a lot of love for stuff, but I don't see any questions. But does anyone like to open up and ask any follow-ups? And anyone who just presented? We have a little extra time, so don't be shy. All right. Going once.
Andrea
Yeah, Andrea has a question, but she can't speak. She said she has a sore throat.
Ah,
So we will wait for her to write it down.
Gotcha. All right, let's do that.
This is one of those things where everyone's got bated breath as we're waiting for the question to come in.
So I can be a bit of a voice for Andrea because she is one of our one of our Interledger Foundation ambassadors, and a lot of her work is actually working with communities and Roshkas and other kind of collective giving and collective funding projects, and that often include microlending. So I think she has a question about following up on the second group to present, talked about community microlending. Do you all want to talk a little bit more about that, and maybe about what your motivation was for looking at as a problem area to find solutions for, and what you may have learned or knew or experienced through others that made that an area of inquiry for you?
Okay, I think with the microlending question, with the microlending part is that a lot of these users, they try with cash, they have no formal credit record, right? So there's no way of approving someone's credibility, like what that credit record is. So the whole point of them using the wallet would enable them to basically have like a financial footprint, and enable them to basically be able to microlend, where you could look at someone's credit history, right, and say, okay, you've borrowed money from people and you've paid them well on time, so I can also borrow you money as well. I think if I'm missed out anything, my teammates could add on.
Yeah, so during the week, based on what we learned in the lectures, and also just research we did out of interest, we found out that a lot of people in South Africa, particularly those in rural areas, don't have access to formal financing. And one of the major reasons behind that is because, like Gabela was saying, they don't have any sort of financial history or credit record. So by giving them the chance to transact digitally, even on a peer-to-peer basis, you kind of build that digital transaction record and do the community microlending. It's probably seen as less of a risk from a bank side if someone has a history, a verifiable history of repaying their peers, even with smaller amounts.
Just to add on that, I think another reason is we also just wanted to provide kind of an alternative, because very typically people go to like loan sharks and they have very high interest rates, and very often that isn't very suitable for a lot of people. And we just wanted to give like an alternative to that through a peer-to-peer, more community-driven route.
Thank you. That was a great explanation, Andrea. I think I got the gist of your question there. I really, to me, this is me speaking as an individual doing this work, not necessarily Interledger, but I think that co-ops, collaboratives, microfinancing collectives, these are tools, community practices that have been doing that kind of work for decades, right? For, in all different kinds of forms. I really think that the Interledger protocol is a really interesting piece of technology that can really give a lot of energy to those kind of efforts. Like, how do you build things amongst a collective or a cooperative, or where there's joint decision making and getting funds quicker, keeping them in centralized and then distributing them faster. Yeah, I think there's a lot. So I'm really excited when anyone does those kinds of ideas or thinks about that, because I think that's a really dynamic use case, not only for Interledger, but then also how communities, regions, people start to think about money a little differently, how they have more control and governance over their own funds. And Tino, I really liked how you also talked about that, where you're also building a track record for repayment or where the money goes. You have that kind of financial footprint language so that you can actually see those records. So not only is it allowing communities to better have tools to understand how to support themselves or to get support where it's needed quickly, it also is then building a financial track record. So then whether it's a project or more funds or larger loans or whatever going, even larger, there is those track records. There is that evidence base, that data that shows whether that's worthy or where that money has gone. And I think things that legitimize what communities have known to work for a long time is a really rich area for experimentation and building within Interledger. All right. Anybody else have anything they'd like to ask? We are actually at the end of our formal agenda. So I'd also invite if anyone has any pop-up announcements about something that's going on in their work or that you'd like to draw attention to. You also have a little bit of a chance to open your mic and share that out. CD, open it up.
Thanks, Chris. It's actually just a follow-up question for maybe each person on the teams, if possible. I would love to know if there's like one or two things that were like tricky as you either kind of worked your way through the boot camp or through the hackathon itself. Like I just have to hear from you, like what some of the funky things were that you either actually just didn't solve in the end, or that you were able to kind of resolve it and move ahead with, even if it's even if it feels small. I just have to hear from you guys, please.
Cabello, Tino, and then Daryl.
Tino, you gonna go first or should I go?
I can go first quickly. So during the week, like I said, we were discussing a lot of different ideas. A lot of them weren't very good ideas, to be honest. So I think it was a bit difficult in terms of getting 4 people with completely different visions and ideas to come together. There's obviously going to be clashes here and there in terms of what direction we were going to move in for the actual hackathon. So I think that was definitely difficult to move past, but towards the end, I think a day or so before the actual hackathon, we sat down and just discussed more extensively what we were going to do. So I think, we eventually resolved it, thankfully, but it was quite a bit to move past.
I think for me to also add on to what Tino was saying is that like sometimes it's a bit challenging to kind of build something with like a lot of assumptions. right? Because of all the stuff that we've built with assumptions and like, you know, preconceived notions. So that was maybe the tricky thing to do, is like when building something for someone, assuming it's what they want, just using our knowledge. But I do want to add that, like, I think the boot camp helped us really understand, like, you know, fintech and the financial exclusion challenges, which kind of helped us tailor our ideas. And kind of like when we were like deliberating in our group saying like we should do this, we're able to kind of reference it to something that we learned about during the week. So it wasn't just like a random boot camp where it wasn't a random hackathon where it's like do this, and then we have to think of something. It's like we had something to reference it to. Thank you.
I think on my side, or like on the team side, I think it was just us we had a lot of ideas related to this, a lot of things which could have been related to and added, but just trying to bring it down into something we could actually develop in time, because we wanted to implement like NFC feature, this and that and this. And there's a lot, and just trying to condense it in time just to be able to give something which was like presentable and being able to give. So, yeah.
Sakina, if you're still on the call, do you maybe want to just also add something from your side, maybe from your team as well, with respect to sort of some of the challenges you feel you faced through the week and how you resolved that?
I think for me, the biggest challenge was just how foreign everything was to me. It was my first experience in the fintech space, so everything was brand new. There was a learning curve, but the lectures and the practical sessions really helped me through that. And then also getting to meet new people. It was both fun yet challenging at the same time. My team members and I met each other the day before the hackathon, so we didn't really know each other. We didn't know like how everyone's work ethic is. We didn't know how anyone thinks or works, etc. So just navigating that on the day was quite challenging, but I think we worked together quite well despite the challenges that we did face.
And I would agree. And that's one of the goal. Oh, Mohammed, go ahead.
Hi, am I audible? Okay, thank you. So I'm from Pakistan, and I have other two team members with me as well, Sohaib and Abdul Rahim, and we are from Places Labs. And this is our first community call, and we are already working on one project. And I just want to say it's like appreciation that how much support we are getting from Slack, and how cooperative the team is. And whenever we have any queries related to our project, or in any documentation, or if there is any technical thing that we are stuck on, so we are getting very good technical support from the team. And we are really looking forward to complete our project and present it in this community call. We are really excited about it. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mohammed, and that's a great call out to the hackathon winners and people that are entering into the Interledger community. And we can get, if you don't have it already, we'll get Dr. Davids and team the links to distribute. But joining the Interledger community Slack is one of the most effective things that you can do. Some of you may already be there, many of you and the call are already there, but we have one of the most responsive developer teams I've ever seen working in these kinds of spaces. And there's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of question and answer. There's a lot of ideation. There's a lot of mentorship and support. So I think, you know, and hopefully if all of you kind of were activated by, you know, participating in the hackathon, the ideas and problems in the space, the technical solutions, all of the above, that's a great space to be in and continue to grow and learn and engage. So we will make sure that the team at UCT, if they don't already, but we'll make sure they have all the links and stuff. So I would invite all of you to join our Slack community if you're not already there, and bring your questions and your ideas. Thank you, Mohammed. It was almost like I planned that. All right. Well, we are close to time. We have a few more minutes. Anyone have anything else they'd like to say or bring up before we wind down? Going once? Going twice? All right, we will close that out. I don't see any hands or microphones opening. Big important thing too, there's a bunch of details in the doc, but if you think you're coming to the summit and or the hackathon, it is really important to go ahead and to grab your seats there. Like I said at the beginning, it's easier to take you off than to add it too late. So that is my advice on that front. And with that, we will draw to a close. Thank you to Vanille, who always is the quiet person putting all of this together and driving this month to month. And thank you all for joining. Hopefully you will join again, even when you're not presenting. This is a good call for this kind of discussion. So we'd hope that you would join again and bring others as well. Vanille and I have dreams of getting this call up to 75, 100 people. So we could use your help.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody. See you next month.
Bye.